Hello YouTube, Sunny here. I just wanted to make a video because I went to church this morning and the message was very powerful and it really resonated strongly within my spirit, and it was something that I could connect to, something that I could relate to, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So I am proud to say that I am a member of a very wonderful church, in my opinion, the best church on the planet. um, Burning Bush International Ministries, located in Ypsilanti, Michigan. My pastor is Pastor Don W. Shelby Jr., and his lovely wife, First Lady Evangelist Benita A. Shelby. Um, I love my church because uh, my pastor is not afraid to speak the truth. And my church is just a place of learning, a place of just enlightenment, um, and I'm just so full when I leave there. Um, and today, the message that my pastor was talking about was definitely something that I felt needed to be shared. It's difficult to summarize his whole message in a couple of minutes in a YouTube video because you would actually have to experience it for yourself, because some words just a lot of words can't describe power. You know, you just have to be there to experience it, but I'm going to try my best. So, my pastor's been talking about purity. And today he was very specific in talking about sexual impurity, sexual immorality, and I he opened my eyes to what the world understands when those words are mentioned: sexual impurity, sexual immorality. A lot of people think that sexual impurity or immorality starts with an act, and that's actually where it ends. It starts in your mind. It starts with a thought, and when the Lord is in you, even if you're not completely familiar with God, if He's in you, you will be conflicted in your mind about what your body wants to do. If God is absent from you, then you won't feel any type of confliction at all, or guilt, or remorse, because you really don't know any better. But I was raised, um, I was raised in the church, okay? So I knew God. I knew God. Now, I wasn't a Bible scholar or anything like that, but I knew in general, you know, the difference between right and wrong. So whenever it came to a decision that I knew God would not be happy with, I felt conflicted. But so yeah, it starts with a thought, it ends with an act, okay? But my pastor actually read from a couple of scriptures, all of which come from Ezekiel. But one particular scripture that he read today really just opened my eyes to some things. And so I'm actually going to be reading from where he read from today, which is Ezekiel 23, 1 through 3. I'm going to read two different versions. I think it's important when you have all of these different versions of the Bible out, you need to go back to the original source, because some things are added, some things are taken out, some things are abbreviated, and you want to make sure that you have everything that you need to know about what you're reading. So, I'm actually going to be reading from the New King James Version and also the New Living Translation. So the New Living Translation, the title of this chapter, before it begins, says, "The Adultery of Two Sisters." This message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, once there were two sisters who were daughters of the same mother. They became prostitutes in Egypt. Even as young girls, they allowed men to fondle their breasts. The New King James Version says, the title is Two Harlot Sisters. The word of the Lord came again to me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother. They committed harlotry in Egypt. They committed harlotry in their youth. Their breasts were there embraced. Their virgin bosom was there pressed. My pastor did an excellent job of breaking this verse down. So basically, the verse is saying that there were two daughters of the same mother, and my pastor said, it's interesting how people can grow up under the same roof, in the same house, eating at the same table, born from the same parents, and they have two different experiences of life, you know. But anyway, they grew up and they became prostitutes, So obviously they're having sexual behavior, inappropriate, immoral sexual behavior as adult women. But the verse says that even as young girls, they allowed men to fondle their breasts. And my pastor said that even as young girls, that means that they were not having sex then, because the verse says that these they became prostitutes in Egypt. So they grew up to become this way. But even in their youth, they were doing things that they should not have been doing. And my pastor just broke it down and said, young girls, elementary school, middle school, high school, there's certain things that still constitute sexual impurity and immorality, and you may not even know it because in your mind you're not doing the act. So I want all of my teenage girls, all of my middle school girls, mothers with daughters, I want you to look at this video and I want you to understand that if a boy wants to touch you in an inappropriate place, that's wrong. That is wrong. You should not allow any boy to touch you in a way that is unpleasing to God and is just not right. Boys should not have their hands on your behinds. They should not have their hands in your pants. They should not have their hands under your shirt. They should not be feeling on you, groping you, touching you. My pastor said that, as young girls let boys do these things and they laugh, and they think it's cute, and it's not cute. And it really made me think. I remember when I was, and I'm going to be a little transparent, okay? When I was 15 years old, I had a boyfriend, my first boyfriend. And I liked him in middle school. We went to the same middle school, but he treated me like crap in middle school, okay? I'm talking about the classic pulling your hair, I don't like you, you're ugly, this and that. But he really liked me, but he treated me like crap, okay? But then we went to the same high school and everything seemed to change. So my mind was in the wrong place in middle school. It was in the wrong place because my mind shouldn't have been focusing on liking boys. You know what I mean? But really, at that time, there was no one talking to me about these feelings and about these thoughts. I didn't understand them, so I just ran with them. Okay. So anyway, so high school, everything changed, and we became boyfriend and girlfriend, and we were together 9 months, and I was just happy the way the relationship was, and all of a sudden, he pressured me to have sex with him, and I'll never forget it. We were in my basement. Okay, shouldn't have been down there either. Okay, we were in my basement, and I allowed him to do those things, but because I knew the Lord, I was conflicted about it. And so I would tell him, okay, we got to stop. We really have to stop. I thought that if I let him do those things, it would make him like me more. So I let him do it. It wasn't because I wanted to. I just thought this is what he wanted me to do. And because I liked him, if I let him do those things, if I let him touch me inappropriately, then he liked me more. And, you know, my pastor, he said that he outlined that too. You know, we try to draw lines. Even as children, we try to draw lines. Oh, no, stop. No, you crazy. Stop it. We try to draw these lines, and when they're already crossed, you can't draw them if they've already been crossed. You know what I mean? When they're blurred and they're just gray, like it's hard to draw lines when you already allowed people into your territory way further than they should be. But anyway, I remember I stopped him and I said, he asked me when he wanted to have sex with me, and I said, you know what? I'm not ready. His attitude completely changed. In the second, his attitude completely changed. He got up, he was about to leave, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do to get him to stay? And so I said, you know what? I'm just not ready right now. And he's like, well, when will you be ready? I didn't have an answer prepared for that question. I said, well, maybe when I'm 18, because I thought at 18, 18 seems like such a grown age when you're 15. So I'm like, well, maybe when I'm 18. Best believe, as soon as I gave him that answer, he was out the door in less than 2 seconds. In less than 2 seconds. And I was devastated because I'm like, I made a choice that made him walk away from me, and I felt so rejected. I felt so rejected. And so I realized that he wanted my body, but what I didn't realize was that I made a right choice to not give my body to him. But for some reason, I felt so bad because I did not understand. I didn't understand what was going on. And so at an early age, I built an association with when you make a right choice, you get a hurtful response. That's what I learned. That's the association that I built. When I go with what God tells me to do, when I go with what I know is right, people will leave. So as a young girl, in my mind, I said, okay, what do I do to get them to stay? I do the opposite of what God says. Now, in your mind, that's not what you're saying. You're not saying, oh, I'm going to just do the opposite of what God says. That's not what you're saying. But what you're saying to yourself is, you start thinking in reverse. What do I do to get this person to stay? Oh, they want me to sleep with them? Oh, okay. Um, well, we have been together for this long, and, he did treat me nice, and he did do this, and he did do that. My pastor said, you don't owe anybody anything. If somebody treats you nice, if they take you out to a movie, if they take you out to a nice dinner, you don't owe them your body. I owe you a thank you and have a nice night. I don't have to pay you with my body to thank you. But anyway, so that's when I started learning that at 15 years old. When I was 16 and me and this guy had broken up, it was another guy, an older guy. I was 16, he was 19. And he pressured me in the same way as the other boy did. And again, I turned away and I said, it took a little while, but after, so many months of pressure, I just said no, but it was getting harder because he had the same look as the last guy and he was going to leave. So it's just like, again, you have this association with making a decision that you know is right, but people are walking away from you and it's making you feel bad. So it's just so important to understand like if I would have known what I've known now, I tell you, I would have made some different choices back then. I didn't know that I was opening myself up to be violated in ways that I would pay for when I was an adult. I had no idea. I had no idea that what seemed to be a harmless association when I was 15 would be a life sentence paid in installments throughout the rest of my emerging adulthood. I had no idea. No idea. So I just wanted to make sure that I share this with you because it's important to understand that you don't want to set yourself up for failure. You do not want to do that. You have to know that just because somebody walks away from you because you made a right decision, that's that's nothing to feel bad about. That's something to feel proud about because that means that I don't have to deal with you or any repercussions of being associated with you later on in life, you know? Um, and I don't know, like I said, I just think it's so important for people to know that a lot of these complex feelings and processes that we go through as human beings, a lot of people think that these types of things start in adulthood, and they don't. They start when you're a child. A lot of these things, and this is another thing that my pastor said, a lot of these things that we go through, a lot of these demons that we're battling, we think that they just come out of nowhere because, they're specifically assigned to us, and they are assigned to us. But they weren't given to us. What I'm saying is that we're fighting the demons of past generations. You're fighting your mother's demons. You're fighting your father's demons. You're fighting your grandfather's demons, and they couldn't overcome. And generation after generation just could not break the cycle, and now it's your turn to break the cycle. And so you have to realize these things early so that you can make the right decisions so that you don't have to pass whatever it is you're struggling with, and you know the hell that you're going through. You don't want the next generation to go through that. So even if you have messed up, even if you have made some mistakes, the point of reckoning is knowing that it cannot continue. So I made some mistakes. You've made some mistakes, and that's okay because we're human. The point of change is when you realize that this has to stop with you. It has to stop with you. It cannot continue on. So I know in my heart that even though I've made some mistakes, when I have my children, I'm going to make sure that I talk to them about decision making. I'm going to talk to them about their self-worth. I'm going to talk to them about why it's important to keep yourself pure until you're married. I'm going to communicate and I'm going to explain. I'm going to answer questions. I'm not going to, to just tell them that, you just don't go against what God says. You don't disobey God. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because that's what I was told. That is what I was told. When I had questions, that's what I was told at 16 years old, at 17 years old, when I had questions about sex, when I had questions about liking boys. Each adult that I went to either dismissed it, told me I shouldn't be talking about it, or just told me that you don't disobey God, and that's it, because God said so. An answer without explanation is nothing to a teenager. It's nothing to a child. It's nothing but words. Once you put words with an explanation, that's when you gain understanding. And that's where a lot of the gap is coming in. A lot of our parents, a lot of our elders, a lot of people that our children are turning to are just saying because I said so. And they expect them to not do it. You want your children to be informed about the dangers of this world, and they cannot do that with a because I said so response. So I hope, everyone who watches this video, I hope you have gained some more insight from it, just like I did, because like I said, it was really eye-opening, and I definitely wanted to share that with you. So be encouraged, and just make sure, talk to your kids. Talk to your kids about the traps and the tricks so that they can be informed, so that when they come against it, they'll make the right decision. Bye.